share with you that at the ministry we have carried out lots of reports.
Okay.
I will invite you if you can have some time spent on the website of the ministry, which is environment.gov.org. So whenever I will not be giving you facts, statistic details, these are things that you can get on the report.
Yes, of course.
But I will just share with you my own experience. It's true that you have put question. It's only now that I'm seeing that there was question. I thought it was on environment, but it's only now I'm looking at it. So your first question is, can you just repeat it, please?
Yes, of course. Which aspect of climate change has the greatest impact on wildlife in Mauritius? You got that?
Okay. Yeah, I got it.
Okay, thank you.
For me, if I have to answer it, I try to make it simple. For us, for human being, we say the three most important thing is you need to have clothes, food, and shelter. But when you come to wildlife, we can remove the clothes, no need, but we still need shelter and food. So let's start with shelter. You know, climate change, when we're talking about climate change, we're talking about rise in temperature. Rise in temperature, wildlife, how they can be affected, we are getting increased fire outbreak in the forest. I mean, you have been witnessing in many countries, Australia, Europe, and so on. So if there is a fire in the forest, you're already destroying the habitat. And this is climate change have already demonstrated the evidence of this, that the frequency of fire outbreak in forest has increased. First thing. Now the second important thing that is important for them is food. And in food, what we have to understand, there is a food change. When it comes to wildlife or even human, whatever you think, there is a food change. If you break the food change, climate change may not be affecting what you're eating right now, but down the food chain, it may be affecting the very preliminary first things that is required to build up that food chain. So climate change is how climate change is impacting on the food chain. With climate change, there are incidents. You can have a proliferation of insects, high temperature, high humidity. You can have proliferation of insect pest, or you can have a severe drought. So it can adversely affect the food chain, and the impact can be very severe. So I think I've given you the two main things that are important for wildlife and how climate change can affect the two main things.
Yeah, thank you. That was very clear.
Can we proceed with the second?
Yes, I think we can proceed with the second question.
Next one would be my question. And
Sure.
so do you think that the effects of climate change, such as rise in sea level and water stress, severely affect the fauna and flora of Mauritius?
I'm trying to get your question in my mobile. Just hold on. Yes. So question, does the effect of climate change, such as rise in sea level and water stress, severely affects the fauna and flora of Mauritius? And what is the most noticeable harm? I think Mauritius is a small island state. We are surrounded by the sea. Why we are having sea level rise? You people, I don't know if you're doing science or, but anyways, this is a simple logic. When the temperature rise, the volume increase. Temperature rise, icebergs are melting, getting more water. The volume itself is increasing. And one of the major adverse impact of high temperature of the sea water increasing is you're going to have coral bleaching. Actually, the coral bleaching, that is your coral become dead. And when it's dead, it become white. This is a dead coral. If you go to the sea, you see white coral. Mostly these are dead coral. And on the coral that you start having the smallest phytoplankton, if I can say so, is a food chain. The lowest is start from there. So actually, you're destroying the lowest step of the food chain, and it will impacting on the. In Mauritius, coral bleaching, I think we have witnessed maybe around above 60% of the coral have already been affected by coral bleaching. And this is a result of sea level rise. So you're already affecting the food chain, but also the habitat in the fauna and flora in the lagoonal seawater habitat. You're destroying it because with the advent of sea level rise, you're going to have high surge. And the frequency of high surge, extreme high surge, high wave energy, that is destroying the habitat itself. I think I don't know, if ever you go to the seaside of the cyclone, you will see how many things from the sea, dead fish, dead even fauna, flora, sea grasses, you will see that are being destroyed. So in a sense, this is how it is affecting our sea level rise, but also with sea level rise, what we are witnessing in Mauritius, we are seeing severe beach erosion. I think in some places we have already lost about 20 meters width of the beach. Now, usually between the beach and the mainland is what goes a coastal strip. It's very high in terms of density. Whether you, I don't know if you know about mangroves.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we heard about it.
Or even you have St. John's.
Yes.
Or these are places actually where life starts, where usually you will get crabs, you will get fish coming to have their eggs laid and so on. So with the advent of sea level rise, beach erosion, you're also destroying. Actually, you're disbalancing an equilibrium, which was what we had set up with time, but with the advent of sea level rise, risk of disturbing that equilibrium is high, and this is what is happening. I don't know if you need anything more. We can. I think you have said what is the most noticeable harm for Mauritius as an island state.
Yes,
it's a coral bleaching. Coral bleaching, if you're saying about 60%, you can see with time you're going to have a Dead Sea. You're going to have a Dead Sea. This is what's going to see. If you're going to for snorkeling at Ficonflac, actually it's a pity to see what's there. But try to have a snorkel at other places like Belmont or the south or Blue Bay, Marine Park. This is really what we should be expecting. Live creatures, but now in Ficonflac, this is a place where you can go and see. People who have been snorkeling there 20 years back, they will tell you now it's almost dead. Can we move to the next question?
Well, thank you for your insight. So moving on, my name is Pirali Akzan, and my question to you is, how does climate change affect crop harvest in Mauritius?
When we are talking about agriculture, there's two sides. Agriculture is one of the cause of that contribute factor of climate change. But of course, we are talking about agro industry, with the farming, with animal rearing and so on. But how climate change is affecting the food crop or the crop harvest or food crop in Mauritius? With advent of climate change, you can have, and it's been happening, you can have an event of pest proliferation. that will of course harm your crop. Or with this climate variabilities that result with climate change, when you are expecting to have, there's a life cycle of a plant. There's a time that they need to have water. There's a time they need to have water stress so they can give fruits. But if you're disturbing this cycle, so there's a disbalance in the plant itself, and your yield will be affected. Of course, it will be affected because you're not giving the proper food to the plant. It's not getting things that it has to get naturally. There's a life cycle in a plant. You're disturbing the life cycle, and you can have, as I told you, you can have infection rate. You can have, most of you have been, you maybe have been with the sit at your place. At some point in time, you see ants proliferated from everywhere, and you ask, why are we having this so many at a time? This is one of the causes of climate change. With a disbalancement of the equilibrium, you can see things that change in a drastic manner.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you. And plus, thank you for joining us, of course. But my question is, do you feel like the right measures are being implemented to combat climate change?
First of all, we should understand what we mean by what measures that be taken to combat climate change. It can be classified into two broad measures. One is to mitigate, that is to avoid climate change. You do something that stops the rise in temperature, whether you're emitting gas, you decrease that emission. Whatever is contributing to climate change, you mitigate, you decrease. But this is if you're the one that is causing it. If you're emitting a high percentage of carbon monoxide, methane gas, all these type of gases that are classified as GHG, greenhouse gas effect, if you're emitting it, you're burning a lot of coal, you say, okay, I will change, I will stop burning coal, and I will try to address it as a root cause. What is the cause of climate change? Because of greenhouse gas emissions, so I will decrease the greenhouse emission and I will mitigate it. But if, like Mauritius, if we see our contribution, I think it's 0.01%, because a very small island. Even the way that we are living, not very environment friendly, not necessarily environment friendly, not zero carbon lifestyle, but yet our contribution to the global effect of climate change is very minimal. So even if tomorrow we become zero carbon dioxide, that is a clean and green net zero emission, yet we'll not stop climate change because our contribution is too small. Okay, if you take 1 spoon of water from the lagoon will not try. But then it comes, we are being affected, not proportionally from what we are contributing. So the second aspect of measures that have been taken is to adapt. You cannot stop climate change, but you have to have measures to adapt. So for Mauritius, how to do both, because we have to do our share of responsibility. We cannot ask others to have photovoltaic farm and stop using coal, and we are still using coal. We also have to do our part, and we also, in our part, we have to identify what are the different sectors that do contribute to climate change. In Mauritius, from the study reports that they carried out, the sectors that are contribute are energy, transport, waste, industrial activity, agriculture, forestry. So there are a series of measures that we have, the government of Mauritius, Mauritius has already identified, and it is well spelled in the report, the NDC, National Determined Contribution. That is what we have already agreed to do. We have already put it in a document because as at international level, we have to demonstrate what we are doing. So I will invite you to go in that report, the NDC report, which is a report which tells you for 2021 and 2030, what are the different measures that we will take to mitigate, and the different main sectors I have already identified. And then adaptation. Now, what are the sectors that are most vulnerable to climate change in Mauritius? Of course, there are agriculture, there are coastal zone, the fisheries, blue economy, in health, infrastructure. We have just witnessed a flood, and we understand how, with the advent of flooding, how it impact on infrastructure, whether road, houses, building. Exactly, we just have witnessed it. Tourism and water stress. So these are the sectors, the main sectors that we have come with adaptation measures. What we are planning for the next 10 years up to 2030, in that report, you will get all the detailed different measures that we are taking for adaptation. If you take, I'll just give you an example for coastal protection work. For coastal erosion, what we are doing, when Ministry itself is involved, we are doing coastal protection work. That we are trying to, if there is a road near a coastal road, we know that with time we are losing the beach. What we can do, we have to protect the road. So you will see in certain beaches, if you go to the north or even the east or everywhere, you will see we are building. For some people, it's like rock wall, but actually are not rock walls. They are rock revetment. They are done in a very engineering way that they dissipate the energy of wave. But this, even that measures, it is not for a lifelong. It have its own period that it can stay. It's not a measure adaptation that is for the whole life. We have to adapt again. This is why we have a plan for 10 years. But then it costs money to do this thing, whether mitigate or adaptation. For Mauritius, what we have estimated, what we require to do, it will cost around 6.5 USD billion. USD 6.5 billion. At Mauritius, we don't have that amount of resources. But from our part, our contribution, we have agreed to contribute, that is unconditional contribution, around 2.3, that is 35% to 43 USD billion. This will come from government and private sector. Now for the remaining 4.2, which is around 65%, we are waiting from international donors. This is what our plea is. We have not contributed. We are not the ones that are responsible for climate change. It's because of forced industrialization in certain countries. So we are asking these countries, they have to help assist us. And the sad part of it is, when we prepared our first NDC national determined contribution, where we have pledged how many money we need, I've just given you an example. We need 4.2 billion USD. We have been able, from 2016 to 2021, the last 5 years, we have been able to gather only 50 USD million as financial resources. So this is a reality. This is why we say Mauritius, we are very vulnerable. We are amongst the most vulnerable countries, a small island developing state. We are not responsible, and yet we have to face it. So are we doing enough? Of course not, because we don't have that resources that are required. The resources required, I've told you, is around 6.5 USD billion. We are trying to bring 2.3 USD billion from government and private sector, and from donors, we are trying to get the remaining one, and we have not yet got it. But that does not mean that we are not doing. So it's a bit of a relative thing, how you want to say it. But of course, I already guided you. I'll tell you the main sectors that are affected, that are for mitigation and those for adaptation. If you go to that report, you will get the detailed example. For example, we said by 2030, we'll decrease our dependence on coal. We will have renewable energy. Likewise, all these sectors, you will see the different measures. I think you go to the report, you will get it. Let me go to the next question.
Okay,
Yes.
that was an interesting answer, sir. Thank you. My next question would be, do you feel like Mauritius is becoming a water stress country?
This is another dilemma. Last week we have seen heavy rainfall, which have given rise to flood. And in Albio we got around above 300 millimeters water, which is the best. So it seems that we are getting lots of water. We have Catabon, we have this, I think the rainfall was above 100 millimeters. And whenever it's above 100 millimeters, this is when we are going, Meteo will tell you the torrential rain. This is the worst scenario. So it seems that we are having a lot of rain, a lot of water. But it's not the truth. The truth is that we are going to have lots of rain in a very short period of time. But when you go for the annual average rainfall that we usually have, the tendency is when you have gone to the studies, it is decreasing. So if you're decreasing and if you don't have the infrastructure to capture maximum capture of water instead of going to the sea, the end result is that your reservoir, you're getting drought season, very severe drought season, and when rain, it will start increase. Such a problem. The issue is with the river, there is a concept we say ecological flow. Ecological flow means that there is a minimum amount of water that should always flow to sustain life in that river. But if that river dry completely, then okay, you get water again, but you're already disturbing the life cycle that is already there. So this is, and the facts, the figures say that yes, with time, the amount of water that we used to have in a period, for example, in 1 year, the average water is decreasing. This one also, I'm not going to give you the figures, how much it is. I will ask you to go for that report and you will get it because it is a scenario we start from 50 years, 100 years. Statistic will give you. We have it, but it's true. We are having less water compared to 20, 50 years back. But the issue with less water is that we are getting in a very short period of time. And this is resulting in flooding. This is why sometimes engineers say when you build a drain, you have to do your calculation every 100-time period. The worst, you have to go to the worst scenario when you had the heaviest rainfall. What was the amount? Can your drain sustain it? And this is why we are having critics now, because the drain are not sufficient. But how much drain you're going to do when the flash flood is becoming so much? You will have drain more than houses. And Mauritius, we can't afford it because we are very scarce in land. Is there anything more I can add?
I think it's okay for us.
Yeah, that answer really helped us. It gave us insight on how actually Mauritius flows with all the water that comes in during rainfall. We thought that with all that rainfall, like it will fill our reservoirs and we would get a lot of water, but actually it's not true, as you said. It's about the annual amount of rain. And furthermore, I would like to ask you one question. Would it be possible to use some of the recordings of this session in our OMNICANE projects just for like 20 seconds?
Yeah, sure. Most welcome.
Okay, thank you very much.
But I do apologize. It's only now that I'm looking on the question. I'm for the Department of Environment. I was thinking it was both on the environment side. I say environment, I don't need to have any.
No, it's fine.
I
It's
can
fine.
speak.
Actually, we got really valuable information from you right now, and we are really grateful for it.
If I had some more time, I would have given you some statistics, because the statistics are there to demonstrate what we are talking.
Here but we can find the statistics.
You're talking. Yeah, I will advise you to go through it, and I will try to share with Saket other some more detail,
Yeah.
especially so that you don't have to go through lots of literature, but a bit of the statistic, how sea level rise has increased, how rain pattern has been disturbed, has decreased, how food crop have been affected. I'll try to give you some concise information.
Okay, sir.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you very much.
thank you very much. I think that
Uh,
we should be done now, unless you have something else to add, or some of my friends
No,
have something.
I think you're in upper six or lower six?
Lower 6.
Level 6.
Yeah.
Lower six, okay. But even lower six, I think you should be very, very busy with your when you move
Studies.
from Form 5 to HSC, it's a world of difference.
Big
It's
Yes.
like
Yes, that's right.
Form 5 is like 50% teacher teach you, 50% you do the effort. But HSC is 20-80. I hope you have already witnessed it and you're
Yes, we
already
did.
doing it, striving to do it. But nevertheless, what you are doing now, time consuming is research, but this will build your character.
Mm-hmm.
And this actually help you to do actually what you should be doing at HSC, that 80-20%. Now you're doing like 100% because of that specific task, but actually you're preparing yourself for the basic and other semesters, because this is what you should be doing at 80%, and because you're RCC, it should be 95.5 because teachers think you're already bright. So my wish to you is that you do your most. Actually, you're preparing like an athlete so that you can run your race. And I wish you good luck in your endeavor.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you
Good
very much.
night.
Thank you.
Okay,
That was good
thank
to
you.
hear. I
Thank
think we can
you.
conclude the session now. We
Yeah,
really like
most
having your
welcome.
presence today. We are really grateful
Thank you.
for the info that you gave us. And
I've also been a student. I have also get that type of help, so it's my turn. And today will be
yeah,
your
to give
turn.
back.
Don't forget about it.
Okay, so I wish you a good night
Okay.
today.
Good night. Same to you.
Thank you.
Et bon appétit if you have not yet had dinner.
Merci.
Yes, of course. Merci beaucoup. À vous aussi.
Yes,
Okay,
I will. Bye.
merci.